Welcome to session 0. Ah!
Oh, I thought this was karaoke. I'm in the wrong.
Oh no, what? If it's karaoke, that means you promised us a song. No.
Oh no.
Okay.
So, we are here to plan a campaign for Vampire the Masquerade, which will, I believe, in Vampire the Masquerade Chronicles be a chronicle. The funny thing is, each and every one of us here is authors. That's going to make for great storytelling amongst ourselves. And also, everybody here is new to Vampire the Masquerade, including me, your storyteller. Not only am I new to Vampire to Vampire the Masquerade specifically, I am new to Game Master. I've never, ever, in all my years of RPG play, like role-playing games, have I ever been Game Master. So, I think we're all going to explore this adventure together. There's going to be mistakes made. It's hopefully going to be stuff that we can laugh at. But in order to start this, we are recording. I have created channels for us to be able to share our adventures with the internets in general through what I've called ChaoticNarrativeRPG. And I hope you like the name.
It's a good one.
Thank you. It's a little too long for Twitter, though. So it's like Chaotic Nair RPG on Twitter because Twitter handles being their thing. So we have a nifty overlay, which you will all see if you watch the video later. We will be on YouTube. I don't know where else we're going to be, but we're going to probably live stream this. But for purposes now, we're recording session 0, so we can all get used to this whole getting into the thing. See if we like it. If we continue to like it and feel comfortable with recording, then we'll go live stream a little bit later on down the line. Today's purpose for session 0 is to set some basic foundation and guidelines for the game and some understanding, and also start talking about our characters. But before I get into any of that, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves, and this is your moment to tell everyone who you are, both as an author and storyteller and as a person coming to the game, right? So, unfortunately, since he was early, he's in the hot seat. Cooper, you're up first.
Hi. So, my name's Cooper Barham. Thank you for inviting me, first of all, Piper. This is exciting. And you're going to do great. I am from Austin, Texas, or I reside in Austin, Texas, rather. I write a bunch of different things, a lot of dark things, a lot of sentimental things. My biggest project that I'm doing presently is called Call Her Leviathan, which is a serial that is on Kindle Vella. It is a power fantasy, essentially. My first time ever working in that genre, and it's been a lot of fun so far. And I have published a short story collection recently that is called Each and Every Phantom, that is going to be one of the other published things that you could look up. I enjoy a variety of things, archery, various fitness things, writing, obviously reading, and I've been spending way too much time watching TV recently, so that's on there too. Squid Game was good. And yeah, I am just talking now. What was the question?
All right, I think you're done. Your introduction.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Next up, Katee.
I'll get less nervous eventually.
It's great. You did great. I am Katee Robert. I am a full-time author. I write a whole lot of romance and a lot of romance, honestly. Like I'm branching out eventually into fantasy, but it'll be fantasy romance. So we just roll with it. I live in Eastern Washington, and I have DM'd before D&D, not Vampire the Masquerade, but I've never been a player, and I'm very excited to to play and have somebody else control everything. So thank you, Piper, for volunteering for dealing with us.
I'm going to stop us because Katee very
Sarah did it first in the Discord.
And I'm just like, oh no, I didn't record on the Zoom on backup. So those of you, if the OBS recording survives, you're going to see this little blooper. And if we end up using the Zoom video instead, you're going to see that. But I'm going to start recording on the Zoom now.
No, I saw Sarah in Discord, and then I was like, I don't think anyone's going to check the Discord. I'll just put it in chat.
No, yeah, you're totally right. All right.
Recording in progress.
We all heard the recording in progress. I don't even know if we should start again. Should we start again? Hi, everybody. I guess we'll start again. I'm going to try to be more efficient this time. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Session 0. And this is going to be shenanigans, obviously, because my brain just died because I just realized I didn't hit record in the first place. So you missed all of my great introduction prior. I think the highlights are that we're about to embark on a Vampire the Masquerade campaign. All of us are authors, so we're great storytellers. None of us have played Vampire the Masquerade either together or separately. And I have never been a GM, and it's obvious. So we're going to be making mistakes everywhere. Shenanigans will ensue, but hopefully it'll make for a great game. What I want to do is give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. Cooper gets a second shot, so go Cooper.
Thank you again for inviting me on, Piper. I appreciate it. My name's Cooper. I am from Austin, Texas, or I reside in Austin, Texas, rather. I do a few different things in terms of my writing. My biggest project at the moment is called Call Her Leviathan. It is a serial that is being published weekly to Amazon's new Kindle Vella program. It's Power Fantasy. It's been a lot of fun. I recently had a short story collection published as well that is called Each and Every Phantom. A lot of dark, sentimental little vignettes. It's very good, or very fun anyways. And let's see, other than that, I just spend my time just consuming various forms of media, reading, TV. I do archery and various other fun stuff, and I'm looking forward to doing scary vampire-y things.
He also owns a corgi.
I do own a corgi.
Ooh.
Her name is Sabrina, kind of named after the Teenage Witch, sort of, definitely not after the Pokemon trainer.
All right, Katee, please.
I'm Katee Robert. I write a whole lot of romance in a variety of subgenres. Newly branching out into monster romance soon. I'm very excited.
The cover's amazing.
Sorry, it's a very self-indulgent. I am established enough that I could invest in a cover artist to do a monster cover in the old style, like oil painting clench cover, like the Fabio covers, with like the hand lettering and stuff. Like, yeah, that's what it is. I'm
and
very
that
excited.
tail, take a close look at the title,
It's good.
because that tail's naughty.
Look at the tail.
Yeah.
Was this shared in our chat here?
No, it's on.
It
it's
can
on
be
Twitter,
later.
but it
That
can be.
tail is a bit naughty.
That's what I'm saying.
Just wait till you see the not safe for work art. Anyways, anyways, no, I'm gonna blush. No, I am really excited to be here. I'm so excited that Piper agreed to game master for us. I've done a little bit of DMing in the past, but now I'm really pumped to just be a player and so thank you, Piper.
Very happy to. Gabriel.
So I'm Gabriel. I'm from Mexico. I'm a fantasy writer. I've been writing the same story for the past 6 years, so I don't have much to show. I'm also working on a couple of short stories. It's mostly fantasy. That's my thing. That's what I love. And in real life, I'm a bladesmith. I mean, writing is also real life, I suppose.
Isn't that cool?
It is real life.
Yeah, I'm a bladesmith, blacksmith, I'd say. I'm a chemical engineer, and I'm also very excited to be a player because this is the first time that I've been in a game as a player, and I've dreamed about this moment like for years. I wanted to play D&D and role-playing games forever, and I managed to do it as a DM just because all my friends are very lazy. So this is fantastic to be a part of a game. So thanks, Piper. This will be awesome. I can't wait for all the shenanigans that will ensue. I know.
Oh, I am confident.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. All right, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hawley. I write romance, sci-fi, and fantasy, and sometimes combinations thereof. And I'm also the co-host of a podcast about romance novels called The Wicked Wallflowers Club. And our missing party member, Jenny, who wasn't able to make it today, is the other half of that. We're on a little bit of a hiatus right now, just because life got life. We got lifed. But it'll be back at some point. I'm also a trained archaeologist, as is Jenny. So that's actually how we met, was through the archaeology program. And when I'm not working or writing, I like to read. I have 2 cats, Coco and Starbuck. You'll see Starbuck sitting in the cat tree right there, and Coco is asleep over there somewhere. So they might make some guest appearances. But I am super excited to be here. I played a little bit of D&D in college, but I haven't really done much since, so I'm excited to get back in the habit.
All right, thank you. And
But I
as
add
you mentioned,
one quick detail because
Yeah, go
everybody
for
else brought up their history with tabletop gaming, and I realize now that I neglected that. This will be the 4th campaign I'm actively in, so I've got a few of these going on right now.
Oh my god.
It's good though.
I
I
don't
think
have time for anything else.
It's a lot, if we're being honest. But when Piper brought it up, I was like, I've always wanted to play Vampire the Masquerade,
Yeah.
and this sounds like a blast. So yes, of course I'm going to say yes, but
so we're
Who
going to
needs
try
to
to
keep
make
track
it
of
worth
details?
it. Yeah, we're not going to take,
I have notebooks for each of these. It's fine.
I am fully in support of notebooks because details, things, we're
dear.
going to, definitely in
Yeah.
support of, those of you who are big into having notebooks for all the things. I happen to know some of you might be enabled greatly by this, and I might have already sent you links. Another thing to mention is, as Sarah mentioned, is we do have another player. There is a 5th player to the game, Jenny Nordbak. We'll let her introduce herself when she joins us, but unfortunately today life happened, as it does. So my plan for our future sessions is if one person can't make it because life happened, cool. We will try to run without them and find a way to incorporate into the story why they are not actively a part of the storyline for that session. When you come back, you as the player are responsible for how you're going to make your entrance back into the action of the game, no matter where we are in the storyline. If you pop out of a coffin, you pop out of a coffin, but you're responsible because
Stumbles drunkenly out of the street.
yeah, like who knows? I'm sorry. This is what happened. By the way, what are we doing? And then also, if we get to a point where 3 players cannot make it, we will probably go on hiatus for whatever that week is and try to get back together again the next scheduled session. So if we start to stream live, that helps the expectations of anybody who becomes a regular viewer. If people
Piper, are you
watching
going to
this-
introduce yourself?
Oh, dang it.
By the way,
Piper.
Why do I have to introduce myself?
who the heck is this person?
I think she
All
did on the
right.
first take and then just glazed past it the second time.
I mean, I said I was Piper J. Drake, but I said nothing about myself except the fact that I was going to be the storyteller. So, all right, you're fair. That's fair. Hi, everybody. I'm Piper J. Drake. I am an author of romance, romantic suspense specifically, but also a lot of other romance, writing contemporary romance, paranormal romance, science fiction romance. I dabble in it. If it boinks, that happened. I also write science fiction and fantasy, a little bit of steampunk here and there. I really enjoy a lot of different genres. So I'm out there. I have also written an RPG game, completely not Vampire the Masquerade. That was co-writing with J.R.R. Blackwell, the Ministry Initiative, which was a steampunk RPG based on Fate Core. My background in gaming is having always been a player, never the GM, never the Dungeon Master. I have played D&D in the past. I have played Shadowrun in the college days. I played World of Darkness just after college in the new adult days. Can we call them the new adult days?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works, right? We're all authors. But I was playing a changeling in that particular campaign, and we had lycans in there, and we had vampires, and we had mages, we had hunters, we had a whole bunch of stuff in that World of Darkness campaign. And so I was not familiar with the vampire aspects of Vampire the Masquerade and World of Darkness because I wasn't actually playing a vampire. I was really reading up on the Changeling core book. And it was a long time ago, which is why, and I have also since played Champions as well as, that was Blue Bloods. What was it? Rollmaster, as a couple of the other RPGs I've played. And I am an active cast member of Typecast RPG, which is found on Twitch. We stream on Tuesdays our game master is Dan Wells, who I'm taking a lot of lessons from in order to create our experience here for this game, Chaotic Narrative RPG. Woo woo! So a part of the reason why I chose Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition is because none of us are familiar with it. Like, even me, having played World of Darkness way back in the day, wasn't 5th edition. So we're going off of 5th edition. There's going to be a lot of looking up of things. There's going to be a lot of Google foo. There's going to be a lot of paging through the core book, whether it's in a PDF on a different technical device, or it's, you know, somebody who's got like pages. We're figuring it out together. So I had prepared everybody with a set of questions that I had, but I want to talk about them and give everybody the chance to clarify, talk to each other about each of these questions, because I think that different answers are going to come up when all of you are together talking about those answers. So I do think that that's important. So the first question I asked everybody as a group is, are you okay with Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition specifically? Any concerns? That also includes, do you need help getting the core book? Do you need help looking up anything online, resources online? Does anybody want to share any resources that they've already looked at that kind of help them figure out like all the clans and the background and stuff, anything that they've looked into already?
There's a lady on YouTube, which I'm going to look up her name in just a second, that I watched the 40-minute how to create a character, and then she's also got stuff on the clans, and she goes a lot into the lore, which kind of overwhelmed me, but it does give good vibes for them. So like that was super helpful to like dig in deeper once you pick a clan. I'm going to look up her name.
Okay. I have to admit, I've been on the whitewolffandom.com wiki for really quick reference for background and stuff, because they have the entire history of World of Darkness, but they also say, you know, specifically for 5th edition, this is what's happened since. And I thought that was pretty handy for us. I don't know how much of it will come across in our storytelling.
Oops.
But as a quick reference goes, that kind of helped overall, because the core book is really fantastic.
It's hard to search stuff like quickly.
Yeah, it's hard to search through, right? Like there's a lot of storytelling going on. Like there's a lot of world building and setting going on in that core book, so it's hard to see and find things sometimes when you're specifically looking for a reference.
The YouTube person is Outstar, OUT star.
Cool.
So there.
On
sorry.
YouTube. Hooray.
Yes. Hooray. All right, circling back. Go ahead.
All right. The second question I asked everybody, which I think everybody didn't quite know how to answer, was, what tone do we want for this game? And I got a bunch of people going, I'm game for anything. And I'm like, you sure? So one thing that has specifically come out in all of the video and research that I've seen is that Vampire the Masquerade is for mature audiences. It explores mature themes, right? So this is going to be kind of dark because of that. We already had a question that came up that I think is tangential to that, is, are we going to be cursing on this stream? And the point is that we're assuming this game is for mature audiences, and so I'm going to unleash us and allow us to speak as mature audiences. Don't go out of your way to drop bombs, but yeah, if cursing is organically what comes out in the storytelling, I'm not going to tell you, hey, language, unless that's part of your character. That's okay too.
I mean, I definitely, I'm here for the murder and the mature themes. I'm super okay if we have some, absurdity as well. Sarah had been talking briefly about having a cat lady vampire, which, honestly, I find horrifying. I find it really terrifying, so I don't know why you didn't find it scary. But...
Wait till you hear how I've evolved that to try and make it less goofy.
Right.
We'll get there.
Oh. So, but that element of a little bit of absurdity almost makes it more horrifying to me, because it's like, oh, that's funny. No, it's not funny. So I'm okay. I kind of dig that if everybody's down with that.
Yeah.
I'm similar to Katee in terms of that darkness with moments of levity.
Yeah.
Or weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shenanigans can ensue. Okay.
When generally speaking, because I've also tried to GM before, Whenever I build out storylines, I always do it with this very misled and optimistic sense that it's going to be as serious as I imagine it's going to be, because I'm like, yes, I have this really, what I believe is really solid like story building, and then it's always taken off the rails and is just turned into something completely preposterous. And I guess I just want us to all, is that okay with everyone? Because that seems to be what happens in my experience, no matter what. It is like always intended to have like a serious side, and just inevitably also has an absurd side.
I think the absurdity is like really valuable as long as it's like, I feel like everybody here is taking it seriously, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's like honoring the work that other people are putting in, and that's okay if that goes a little absurd in the process. It's not people like derailing, you know what I mean?
Right. As long as there's no intentionally like trying to keep things off track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that
Quite cool.
tone is great. What I think is going to happen is while we're character creating, somebody is going to be like, I would love if this kind of thing happens. I would love if that kind of thing happens. Don't get nervous if I start typing, because I'm going to try to make that happen somewhere in the storyline. I hope, if I can remember to open up a little notepad.
Whenever it shows up.
Are
on the
we,
page.
Piper, are we, like, because I know we're doing like preemptive character creating here. Are we going to like individually flesh out some of our histories and kind of send that to you so you have all that information?
Yes,
Okay,
that will
cool.
be homework. You get homework at the end, but hopefully it will not be painful homework. It will be fun. Hey, when I start playing with this, to tide me over until our session, and when we can finally play again, this is what
That's
I can
dangerous
do.
homework. That
Character
will keep me
creation
from
homework is
doing other stuff.
So fun.
I mean, time
So-
management is something we all are going to have to
Struggle.
work on.
I'm already so great at it.
So great. I don't know what, like, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay. So, I think that the tone that we want for this game is going to be evolving, right? But let's keep trying to
Sure.
remember to mention that and think about
It's
it.
like the first season of a TV show. It doesn't know its identity yet.
No, but you know what? Like, sometimes it evolves in wonderful ways. So we'll just keep it as an open question. The third question is more of an ops question. Cadence. We all pretty much agreed on every other week. Everybody still feel comfortable with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So your first homework point, and I'm going to take a note that I made this a homework point, is what day of the week are we going to try for every other week?
How long are sessions generally?
I think we should shoot for approximately 3 hours of our time. It'll probably be 2 hours on live stream or streaming, but there will be a little bit of a chunk prep in the front end. And then
Sure.
afterwards as well, one of the things that I would really love to do if we decide that we're really comfortable with live streaming eventually is I want to have the point where we're live streaming. We'll take a break in the middle to be able to promote whatever we've got going on. If we've got an upcoming book, cool. If we've got this other project that we're a part of and we just want to give it a shout out, cool. If we were guests on a podcast and we want to shout that out, cool. Whatever, shout outs. There will be a shout out section in the middle for like 10 minutes or whatever, however long that takes us. We'll go back to gameplay. At the end, we will stop recording and we'll be around for Q&A for about 20 minutes for our live audience, if there's anybody live. And if they run out of questions, then we'll cut off. But we'll max it out at 20 minutes of Q&A. That'll only be for the live stream and not for the recording. So it kind of totals out to 3 hours. So that's what I want you to block out for your schedule.
Okay, that's better. I played a D&D one-off once that lasted 8 or 9 hours. Now that was a little too much.
But that was a one-off, right? Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
One-offs are hard.
I'm letting everyone know right now I am a massive fidgeter. I have
Yeah.
a lot of difficulty sitting still, so you're going to see me doing all
Me
sorts
too.
of things. Every once in a while I might pace a little bit in front of the screen.
That's fine.
That's fine.
I'll probably be knitting after this, like once we actually start playing, because I can focus better with my hands moving. So
Yeah.
otherwise you'll be hearing dice, and that's distracting.
Mhm.
I'm good with either
Yeah.
one of those things. I might have spent an hour before we all got online for this session just trying to find my old dice. Like, just trying to find my
Oh.
old dice, because they always pop up, and I'm like, oh, hey, my old dice, when I don't need them. And now that I need them, I can't find them, and they're going to show up. I'm going to have to buy new dice for them to show up again.
And then, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right? Like, they'll show up after. All right, so that is homework. Take a look at the days of the week. When do you think that you can reliably carve out a 3-hour chunk? Okay? And also, just expectations for everybody, including the recorded session here. We will probably take a break between Thanksgiving and New Year's. No sessions between Thanksgiving and New Year's, just because holidays and life. For example, I will be in Egypt.
Oh, cool.
It'll be a little hard for me to run the game
When
from
is
Egypt.
Thanksgiving?
End of
Thanksgiving
November.
U.S.
End of
I'm
November.
sorry.
The third Thursday in November.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Unless you're Canadian, in
No,
which case it already happened, I think.
That's fine.
No,
Thanks.
Canadian didn't
He's
happen
on the
yet,
other side
but
of
it's
the other
October.
border.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
Gabriel is in the other direction.
Yes, I did not think you were Canadian, but
All right. So that there will be a break between approximately the third week of November to the end of the year, and we'll come back again in January. Just in case anybody is planning holiday travel, because I know that happens early.
Yeah, I figured that the first couple sessions will just be recordings regardless of what our future plans are for live streams, and that won't even really be considered until after all of that is done. Yeah.
You're so in sync with me. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what's going to happen. All right. 4th question. And this is one that I want us to revisit for sure. Or no, actually not the 4th question. No. The 4th question is probably pretty easy. I had asked everybody if this was just for us or if anybody was interested in live streaming. And since you're watching this recording, you can see that unanimously everybody was cool with recording. So here we are. 5th question, and this is one that is going to remain open-ended. I asked everyone for their limits and their boundaries, or as Vampire the Masquerade calls it, their lines and veils. Hard things that they don't want to encounter, because we already have enough life, right? Triggers, or even just things that make you uncomfortable, or even things that you're just damn tired of encountering. Like, I'm sorry, but I really don't need any more giant house spiders. I live in the Pacific Northwest. I just learned that they exist. Right? Like, so there's probably not going to be any giant spiders.
Okay, well, I have to cross that character off my list.
vampire
Right.
spider. That would be terrifying.
Hate it.
Pretty sure that like, yeah, no. So, lines and veils, also things that make you uncomfortable. What I have in my notes from the chat, as everybody was kind of thinking through this already, is that I had a summary of that somewhere for the lines and veils, but I think it was something along the lines of no animal cruelty, no torture, or mild torture, or torture for a reason, right? Like, let's not get into it just for the joy of describing torture scenes. No torturing children. But I think that if you all think of any other thing that you didn't realize is going to trigger you, but does trigger you.
I'm gonna say I'm not a huge fan of sexual assault plot lines.
I was gonna say let's put that on. I figured that was kind of like on the list already, but like let's just
Yeah, but
officially
like,
put it on the
let's
list.
just say, yeah.
Yeah, sexual
Good to
assault.
say it
I'm-
out loud. Yeah.
Plot
I'm gonna be
lines.
interested in that light torture because I'm contemplating a little bit of like disembowelment sometimes. So
If
we'll
you
see
have a
that's
You know,
good
for
reason
kicks
for
and
it.
giggles.
Like, that's
there's
the thing.
no
Is like,
reason.
I mean, if there's a reason, if it's within your character, as long as you don't get into the whole how the disembowelment happens and the
gleaming
shiny
viscera,
and the gleaming
yeah, no.
viscera
Sure.
Yeah.
and the smell.
Describing the viscera in like
Yeah.
excruciating detail.
Mhm.
No.
If we don't,
No.
and the smell, because
Like
nobody ever describes the
PG-13
smell.
detail, not R
Okay.
detail. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't need to get gory about this horror, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it can happen, but it doesn't need to be horror-esque.
Yes.
Like we can touch on it without like 5 minutes of detail. I feel like
Yeah,
that's
you can do
fair.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. But I also want us to come together as a group to figure out a safe word.
Ooh,
Because
good
if
idea.
something pops in gameplay and we need to put the brakes on because it's taking you someplace you don't want to go, like, it can be a visual if you prefer to just throw up a visual, like a card of some sort, and we can all like make one for ourselves so that that's the sign. Or it can be a safe word that you say audibly to call the audible and say stop. We need to stop.
Can
and
we
back it
have
up.
like a yellow card and a red card, like the equivalent of, so it's
Like,
like
slow
this is
down.
getting a little uncomfortable versus like I need to stop
Mhm.
immediately?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
All right. So that being the case, hello. Is that one of the new puppies?
Oh, who's that?
Shots baby.
So Gabriel's been sending me pictures of this creature for the last week and a half, and it is the
Yes.
best dog I've ever seen.
His name is
Look at
Callum.
it.
He's just 8 weeks old.
You have
9?
just betrayed
9.
Sabrina and Corbin in one shot, Cooper. How could
Is
you?
that
Oh
an
my god,
Australian
look
Shepherd?
at it though. He's
Yeah,
so
he is.
happy.
Yeah.
He's so cute. All right. I like the
He's
red
so
card
soft.
and the yellow
There's
card.
an extra hand in that video.
Yes.
Yes.
I have 3 hands, by the way.
That must
So,
get
gracias,
really,
Melo.
really convenient. Obviously, innuendo's gonna happen. Is everybody okay with innuendo? Because we can dial it back.
It was a given.
I yes.
I'm in favor of the more innuendo, the better.
Yes.
My mom's not gonna watch this. Well, probably.
Listen, I have a brand to like protect, and it includes
It includes innuendo.
innuendo.
Oh my god, talking about parents watching things. My mother tried to ask me what my fan fiction writing pen name is today,
No,
and I was
no,
like,
no,
no,
no. No.
You don't get that, Mom. You don't get that.
No. When it comes down to it, I think those who are familiar with me from Typecast RPG, whenever you see my eyes get big and my hands get slapped over my mouth, it's because I have thought of a thing that is probably not safe for Typecast RPG.
Yeah,
will
I also know
likely
your
not-
giggle. You have a giggle also, Piper.
I do?
True.
Gabriel
In League of
knows
Legends,
my tells.
when we're playing, yeah,
Oh, okay.
I know the giggle for the innuendo. Yeah.
Most of the time
You
it's when
can't just
Cooper says
innocently
something,
mention
though.
a bush, which you have to do 1,000 times playing League without Piper giggling about it.
And when
She
you're the
goes-
jungler, when you're going somewhere,
Yep.
when you're
Yeah.
about to get there, that's
Like, I'm coming top lane.
I'm coming. Yeah, that's all
That's
the time.
because I'm 12. I'm 12. All right. Like, this is where it's gonna happen. It is. All right. So yes, I like the idea of a red or a yellow card. Can everybody commit to at least the size of a 3x5 index card or bigger? Like, Post-it notes aren't gonna cut this. Right. Like, and if you have to, like, throw it up here so that we can definitely see it. But yeah. So yellow
Yep.
means slow down, and like, let's get off on the next exit. I have an alarm going off. I apologize.
I'm going to, or is this in bad taste if I make a green card and put it up when absurd things are happening? I'm like, yes, more of this. Yes.
I don't think that's absurd. I think that's wonderful.
All right.
Cool.
All right. So
Enthusiastic consent.
Yes.
I like enthusiastic content. I'm here for it. Let's keep that going.
It's like wicked motorcycle chase downtown, green cards, yes.
I am taking notes on what these mean, Veeroff. And red is just stop everything. Okay. That's okay. Let's do that. All right. So that gives us the ability to correct the storyline as we go rather than, hey, after the game, I just need you to know that really went some, like, I don't want to find out after the fact that we caused you trauma. That's where we're at. Okay?
So, Piper, I have another thing that to
Yeah.
ask the group about like drug usage and alcohol and all those things, and also because of YouTube and stuff, like because those things affect the algorithm and affect things that you might want to do. So, like, just said how we would, even in the story, like,
So it's like, can our characters drink? Can we drink as the players? That sort of thing.
like both. And
Well,
make,
as vampires, you really, unless you pick a specific vampire that's capable of it, food and drink will come back horribly along with blood.
Do
So-
like
Mhm.
would YouTube flag, like I'm sure, like, because the blood usage isn't like drugs. It's like nutrients.
Sustenance. Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any way around us having blood as one of our tags.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And no blood on this vampire podcast.
Vampire. Yeah. When it comes to F-bombs and stuff like that, like when it comes to cursing, if it's the occasional F-bomb dropped by accident, I don't think that will get nailed by YouTube or other places. It's when you're specifically on brand for having really bad trucker sailor mouths.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have to indicate, like, hey, this is for mature. Like, or if we're gonna sit there and we're going to describe a hanky-panky scene in detail, right? And obviously,
which is a risk with this group.
It is a risk.
I know it's different in writing than it is using your like words.
I've watched Katie's face when she listens to her own audiobooks, and she is scandalized.
Cannot not on
Have you
board.
ever watched her? The shirt comes up, and she's just like, "Who wrote this?
They wrote this?
Yeah, who wrote these scenes? I'm just gonna burrow into my hoodie and like.
I know, right? Like
That's funny.
I will admit I have the same problem with mine, and mine are nowhere near as bonkers as Katie's, right? Like, it is different trying to say it out loud. I think Jenny might be the only one of us that has experience saying it out loud because of her narration experience.
Yep.
And Jenny has like no like Jenny gives no dams.
No filter.
It's a lot to admire, honestly.
Yeah.
So we have our green, red, yellow. We have our lines and veils for right now. We all feel pretty good, pretty safe moving forward. Okay, so those are our 5 questions. So now we are going to get into a bit of, well, actually, before we dive into that, we're approximately at the halfway point of the time that we carved out today for session 0. So I want to start the habit at approximately the halfway point. Can I stop and promo, shout out a thing? So everybody take a second to think about a thing that they want to shout out. It could be any of the projects that you're working on, any of the ones you're part of.
I don't have anything I can personally shout out at this moment, but I'm going to shout out for Jenny because she's not here.
Yes.
She has another podcast called Bonkers Romance that just launched. She's doing it with Melody Carlisle from the Heating Bosoms. And her book came out. His Leading Lady is her debut romance. So that's there. You can find her online. Jenny, last name is Nordbak, Nordbak. And I'm going to shout her out for being awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. And the book's great. It's like a dominatrix and like an A-lister actor who needs to roughen up his image. So they like fake date.
I love the fake date. I love the whole roughing up the image, but hey, about that. I want to read it. I haven't read it yet, but it's on the list. All right. So thank you. Anybody else?
I have a anthology coming out soon in like 2 weeks, I think. It's a free anthology with like a bunch of authors, and they all take place like they're all like pretty saucy stories and take place around this like holiday event. And I'm really excited about it. Mine's like older lady, younger dude, reunited lovers, shenanigans. It's delightful.
What's it called?
Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question. Thank you for like being a detailed person. You know what? Circle back to me. I will tell you in a minute. Meet me under the mistletoe.
She's writing. Meet me under the mistletoe. Okay. Look, she's writing book 4 of a series that only book 1 is out right now.
And listen, and I never pick the titles because I am garbage at titles. So like, I'm just like, send me a link and I will do the thing. Yeah, it's Meet Me Under the Mistletoe. There's like 8 of us or something, and like it's all around Em O'Keefe's series. Like it connects to her series, so it's really awesome.
Okay, so everybody look for Meet Me Under the Mistletoe, including Katee Robert.
Right.
Katee.
Yes, 2 E's, no S on Robert.
Okay. Cooper?
I kind of sort of already promoted myself at the beginning.
But do it again.
I mean, I have a Kindle Vella story that I publish every Wednesday called Call Her Leviathan. It is a female protagonist power fantasy with splashes of lit RPG, which is another genre I've never dealt with before. But it's been a lot of fun. Gabriel's been
It's
one of
really
the
good.
primary
It's so much fun.
people giving me feedback, and it just finished part 1, and so we're moving forward, and it's been great. I think the next week's is chapter 15, so we've been going for a few months now, and it's been good so far. I've got a lot that I want to do, and I'm looking forward to it. Before doing that, I was going to also promote Piper but I figured that you'll do it already. I know that you have recently rebranded a trilogy for new release, the London Shifters, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I
so-
should go into that. That's a really good segue. So I have re-released a paranormal romance series that was originally released through Harlequin's Carina Press, digital only. And so the London Shifters used to be the London Undead. It is werewolves protecting humans at ground zero of the zombie apocalypse. And upon the initial release, we leaned a little too hard into the zombies, but there is no romance between the zombies. So we were like, no, friends, really, like, don't worry about zombie hanky-panky. That's not what's happening here. However, if you are Team Werewolf, this is the series for you. So Team Werewolf plus humans. Vampires are a part of the story plot, as well as, various other supernaturals, and it's a lot of fun. I'm excited to be re-releasing this, and I'm also adjusting a few things since it's been about 10 years, and I've kind of learned as a writer. So I've gone through and I've adjusted some things to take out, things I could have done better. I tried to take a swing at doing better. So that series is re-releasing throughout the course of this fall. So thank you. That is The London Shifters, and you can find it right now on Amazon Kindle Unlimited, but it will go wide and come out as a print omnibus next spring. Gabriel?
I would just like to circle back to Cooper about the Kindle Vella thing. You can read the first chapters for free, and then if it's your first time in Kindle Vella, you get like free coins that you can use to get the new chapters, and then if you're liking it better, you can keep going.
Yeah. I do want to add a disclaimer that I learned kind of after the fact. If you are an international reader, I don't know if you're going to have access to it. Kindle Vella is just recently been rolled out, and I don't know if they have future plans to make it more accessible beyond the continental United States. But as far as I can tell, that's the only crowd that it's available to right now. Hopefully that changes in the future, but if you're not of the United States, you might have trouble reading it in the first place.
I finally did it with a VPN, so there's that.
Okay.
There
if you
are
want to
ways.
go to that, there are ways. So yes, go check it out.
We won't be tutoring on how, but there are ways.
And I suppose like all these things, we can put them in, for example, in YouTube in the description for everyone to just click.
Right. Well, show notes will be a thing that we will be figuring out.
Yeah.
Those are an ops
We'll
Awesome.
definitely need it for like clarifying details within the story at some point, I'm sure.
Exactly. So there's all sorts of ideas for that we will talk about later. But let's dive into character development, because I have a couple of notes on how to help you all through it. I've had a lot of fun. I will say we do have a private Discord server where everyone is brainstorming and chatting and talking and getting ready, and maybe, indulging in some random commentary as well. But what I would like is for each of you to make sure you have a character sheet open that you saved as for yourselves. And the key thing for character development that I would like you to remember is I'd like you to bring to the table the kind of person you want to play. Not you, because these characters are not you. But the kind of character you want to play, because that will govern everything else. Right? And then the next thing that we will have to do is pick a faction. And what I've requested from all of you is that everyone stay within the clans that are either Camarilla or an ally of, which is basically you can be Camarilla or Anarch. And I can find reasons in the story for that. I can't find reasons if you do it for Sabat. So one of the clans from Camarilla or Anarch. And we will also talk a little bit about dice rolling mechanics. So I don't want to get deep into mechanics here. We can read it in the core book. You what I will say is, from a dice perspective, I don't need to see your dice. I will take you at your word if you tell me your fails and your successes. All right, there are cheat sheets available to help you, but in general, we will be using D10s. There are even online rollers that you can get, and there's an app for that if you want. If you don't, because I'm not going to tell you got to go buy anything. I don't want you to have to feel like that. I personally like to keep 2 different sets of dice. One set of dice for rolling and another set of dice for blood dice. And I have these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous new red ones.
Ooh.
I bought some red ones too.
They're blood dice. So I'm super happy about that. So just remember that. I checked out a couple of Reddit threads, and a lot of people are like, if you must have dice, or if you really like to have dice, the minimum that you need is approximately 10 to 15, which isn't true. Like, you could take one D10 and you just keep rolling it over and over again if you need to. Just keep track of how many times you've rolled so that we can get to the numbers for success. I'm not going to get upset about that. But, you don't need 50 dice, is what I'm trying to get at. So that's the only thing I'm going to say about the dice rolling mechanic. I don't need to see your fails and successes. I will take you on your word. I do need you, once we create your character sheets, if I say roll this plus this, you need to be able to look at your own character sheet and figure out how many dice that is. And also track your hunger dice, because that changes through the course of the game.
For the this is a mechanics thing, so sorry, but like for that's like how many circles it is. Like that's how each one's a dice. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
you
cool.
fill in
That's what I
little
thought.
circles for.
Yeah.
Right? So, as we're quote unquote building dice pools, a thing to understand is that a 1 is a critical failure. Like, oops, and also I'm going to ask you to tell me how you failed in an epic way. Okay, 10 is an absolutely incredible OMG success. And I'm also going to ask you to tell me how you succeeded in an epic way. Like,
The
that
impetus
is
is on us to provide those things.
Yes.
Maybe sometimes I will tell you what happens.
Okay.
All right, but sometimes I will ask you to tell me how that happens. Like, it depends on inspiration. So that could be kind of crazy pants, right?
Okay.
So most of the time, I will usually, if I decide that you need to roll, I will ask you for 2 attributes, or an attribute and a skill, but 2 things. I will say, roll this and this. And so you'll take the dice from both of those, put them together. And if you have any hunger dice, and everybody starts with 1, you will always have at least 1. That number will include 1 hunger die. Because that's how you figure out if, like, random stuff happens, right? So, let's say, throughout the course of the game, your hunger will always affect you. You always start with 1, right? And 1 die must always be rolled, like I just said. Whenever I ask you to roll anything, always include a hunger die in that count. It's not that count plus a hunger die. It is inclusive, right? If you roll and there are no successes, which is a sad, sad roll, and those dice belong in jail. The hunger die rolls, if the hunger die rolls a 1, that's a bestial failure. So your beast rises up and does a thing in a super bad frenzy, and most likely there's going to be a massacre. Carnage is going to ensue. Okay? It's like fight or flight response times a bajillion. It's bad. It will normally mean you're going for any source, the nearest blood source. Innocents included. Each other included. It's generally a bad idea. Okay? So the point behind this is that you're going to manage your hunger. If you use your powers, whatever powers from whatever clan you choose, you are going to roll a hunger die. And if it succeeds, you don't get hungrier. If it goes 5 or below, you get hungry and you have to add a hunger die to the rest of the game as you're playing, unless you feed to get rid of those hunger die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm going to pause for a moment to check my stove because I smell something burning and want to make sure the cats didn't do anything weird.
Oh no.
I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Everybody notice, like, pets have a tendency to singe themselves? Like,
Absolutely.
they, like, rub past candles and stuff. and then you end up with like the scent of singed pet, and you're like, are you okay?
Corgis are very low to the ground. They don't touch most things.
Well, I mean, Corbin
They
has
have a
managed...
vertical.
Yeah, Corbin's vertical is like 3.5 to 4 feet.
It is not the cats. It's something outside, I am sure. So that's
Okay.
good.
That's
Good. Good.
kind
You
of
probably
good,
don't
as
want
long
me to-
as whatever it is
I know
outside
vampires-
is not going to take over that.
Yeah, I'm like, I know vampires burn to death, but I don't think we need to be quite that hands-on.
Literal.
Yeah, let's not be that literal. Okay,
cool.
So we were talking hunger.
Okay.
Basically, that's the quick thing about Hunger Die and why you need a different color, because you're going to be keeping track as you go through. On the other side of it, remember how I said if you have no successes and your Hunger Die rolls a 1, you get a bestial failure and you do terrible things and it's a massacre. If you roll a dice pool and you get a Hunger Die that's 10, which is a critical success, you do the thing and you're happily successful, but it's your beast that's doing the thing for you, which means it's successful times a bajillion. Like, it does things in an epic way, which maybe you didn't mean it to be quite that ostentatious. All right, so just think about that. You're going to be a force of nature when that happens. You try to open a door, you're going to rip the entire front of the house off. Oops. Right? Like, it's that kind of ostentatious.
That sounds very anime. I'm here for it.
That means I need somebody up in the bathroom going, ah! You know, like we need that kind of moment going on. All right. The other thing is all of your characters are going to be relatively new to the night. We're talking neonate. You will only have been changed fairly recently. Okay.
What does that mean? Like within a year?
Past 100 years.
Not under 100. It'll be
No, I know.
let's call it within the last 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Right? Because what I want is you to all have the fashion sense of this decade. Like, who here watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series, the TV series, not the movie? All right. So there is a moment in the very early season 1 where Buffy is talking to Giles and he's like, you should be able to sense a vampire in the room. And Buffy goes, there's one. And he's like, you didn't sense. You just glanced. And she's like, look at that outfit. It's that is the thing that happens in the Vampire the Masquerade. Vampires are not elastic. They're not super adaptable the longer they've been vampires and the farther away from their humanity they get. So their sense of fashion, especially, is one of the most visible ways that you can tell that their thought process is dated. Right? Some of the other authors that we have read also show that in outdated concepts of misogyny, things like that. I will tell you right now, friends, I'm not super supportive of the idea that, well, this was the way that they thought back in his day when he was in his prime. Y'all are young enough to be aware of current discourse. When it comes
better.
We are the woke undead.
Yeah.
Yes. Woke. Now, if you have a reason for needing to have a story arc where you learn to do better, I'm open to that. But
Is it
you
too
have to
late
be
to
aware.
rename the show The Woke Undead?
It is not too late. I will take suggestions, and if you want, you can all have your own names for it. It's fine. So
That's the crew we roll with. Anyways, keep going. Sorry.
next point of discussion. Yeah, relatively new to the night, younger vampires, derp. Okay, so that's the first thing that you will stick on your character sheet, wherever it is. There should be a value called blood potency.
Okay.
That's a 1.
Huh. Okay.
For now. All of the values that we stick in there, are subject to change as all of us look stuff up. And if you make a case for it, I may be convinced to change your values.
Blood potency. Oh yes. Okay, got it.
Found it? Okay.
Yep.
Next, let's start looking at attributes, keeping in mind the kind of character you want to play. And also keeping in mind the clan that you're leaning towards. Right? So if you have the ability to open a page to whichever clan that you've got in mind, this will help you.
If we're waffling between a few, are we going to run them by each other to make sure we're not stacking up a bunch of people in one clan?
Let's do that right now.
Or that we
Yeah.
at least balance relatively well. Oops.
Yeah, it's either all or balanced. Let's not do
Yeah.
play. Yeah, let's actually do that right now. Sarah, what clan are you waffling?
Oh dear. Okay, so Malkavian is one idea, and then the other one is the shadowy one that is called La Sombrin. And possibly, I was also thinking Toreador, but I know a couple other people were thinking that, so I'll probably just stick with one of those two.
Mm-hmm. So, anybody have any thoughts about either one of those? Would it be helpful to you if I read like the quick Wikipedia summary of that clan? Each of those clans.
Why don't we all list ours, and then we'll see if we're like leaning in one direction or not, and then kind of we can narrow from there.
So hang on, let me just get a list together. Sarah, possibly
Malkavian, La Sombrin, and maybe Toreador if no one else does it.
Okay. All right, Gabriel.
I was just thinking of two, Bruja and Tremere.
Bruja and Bruja. I cannot get the role.
Oh,
I want it.
Arc, yeah.
I want it. And Tremere.
Tremere, yeah.
Katee.
I was thinking Toreador. I'm gonna apologize ahead of time because I cannot pronounce real words with my mouth at all. So that one, the pretty one, and the Hecate. Hecate.
Is it Hecate? Hecate? Hecata?
It's probably, it might be Hecate because that's the goddess's name.
The lady
Hecata?
it's spelled a little bit different than hers, but
there's
it's
an A on the end.
Hecate.
Yeah, or that one.
Hecata sounds like it comes clearest to me, but I am open to pronunciations.
As long as if somebody, I'll look it up at some point if that's what I go with.
Yeah. All right, and Cooper.
Okay, so I'd only just looked up the clans like right before we started. I mostly had a couple ideas beforehand and then looked up what I thought would fit those the best. But this is now a little strange because I believe my answer is exactly what Katee just said, which is Toreador and Hecata. But with that said, I'd also wanted to pitch an idea at one of you. And this is obviously, nobody has to be a taker on this, but I was also thinking it would be fun to play a Lancer character, somebody who's like the second in command for somebody else who's more ambitious. So if anybody has any character who is particularly, has some major goal, I would be okay with creating a foil character that kind of went along with that. If nobody wants to take that, though, I have another idea that's for more of an independent character.
I do have a question as far as the group dynamics go. Are we building a group that's already like we know each other and we're established, or are we like newly coming together as a group with this That would affect things too.
As far as, Piper, you can answer in a moment. As far as my question, obviously those two characters would know each other, but yeah, that would be good just for knowing in general. Piper, were we going to know each other already, or are we meeting each other in session 1?
The coterie will be formed in session 1. However, some of you could know each other, either good or bad, based on your discussion and what you want. So if two of you don't want to like each other, I'm interested in that as well. You just have to not try to kill each other right away. Or if you do try to kill each other,
passive
you have
aggressiveness is so fun.
Yeah, you can try to kill each other right away, but then you'll have to roll up new characters.
Some gaslighting. Yep.
I am gonna let your characters die, by the way.
Good.
Okay.
Like just realize that there's consequences. Your character could die, and then you'll have to roll up a new one.
Yep.
Cool.
I think Jenny was looking at Brujas and Toreador as well, but I don't know if she evolved.
I think she mentioned one other.
Okay.
I think I'm going to call it at, I'll allow as many as 2 of a particular, the same clan.
I will say that I am definitely have become a little emotionally attached to the Hecata.
All right. I'm liking that concept too, just because of
just the Hannibal fangirl and the sniffing. Like,
yeah.
I just want her to be kind of a fuck up. So like she is. If you are also that, like maybe there's some tension there that like however you play that character, because mine is a screw up.
Piper, you can modify mine. You can take off the Hakata one and add Bruja.
Okay.
Bruja. Just because that falls in line with the idea I had for the independent character, assuming that I wasn't a Lancer for anyone.
And yeah, Jenny was just Bruja and Toreador. I want to say them in Spanish.
I'm okay with it. It sounds lovely. Keep going with that. Okay. That's fine.
Bruja and Toreador. Okay.
You have such a pretty voice, Gabriel.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna make
this from
deeper.
The guy with the mochi cheeks.
What?
I said this from the guy with the mochi cheeks. You have excellent skincare. We have discussed this.
Thank you.
Okay, so then
I mean, so many people have also said Toreador that I am open to everybody being Toreador. So if that's something you want to do, that's there too. That is an option. Like literally everybody but Gabriel had said Toreador was on their list.
We could also be just distant parts of a family. We could be a family and just like run with the dynamics that would come with.
It's
we
like
don't have to.
Bridgertons.
It's an idea.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit squicky to be family and throwing around the innuendo that we already warned might happen.
That's true, especially if we're not old vampires, because I feel like the rules would be different if we were all ancient. However, if it's like relatively recent, like that's a little sketch.
Like just the possible shenanigans of the best friend sister trope happening. Like it's just like pretty much your entire series of forbidden romance, Katee, would be weird here.
Yeah, let's not do that. Okay.
I think the penalty for deciding to pull one of those references is that you have to read one of Katee's books.
Oh no, don't make people read my books.
Oh no.
They're best entered into enthusiastically, not as punishment.
Truth. That is true.
Is this part of your brand too?
What?
Tropes? Don't read my books.
Yes, that is part of it. She got yelled at on TikTok for that. Like, she doesn't ever put her book up. She doesn't like, she's like, no,
I got
people...
a little better about it.
I saw the cover. You shared it on the Discord.
Yeah,
wow.
Sarah shared it on the Discord.
shared it.
Oh yeah, that's incredible.
Isn't it gorgeous? But
I have a lot of questions.
I'm trying to find the tail.
I'll send you the not safe for work art. Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
sitting
gosh,
on sitting on a rock. He's not squatting.
The tail is
curling
approaching.
around. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's,
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's being sneaky.
Sarah, what was your idea that you twisted to make the thing?
Well, so I've got two different character ideas. So the whatever that one is, the crazy one, would be this cat lady. She's got cat thralls. She's an animal lover, but like doesn't think all that much of humans. And she is very loyal to her chosen ones, but has these delusions that Cain is speaking to her, and sometimes he might be the original vampire. And sometimes he might tell her to do bad things. And she also, the thing to make it creepier is that once she has eaten or drunk, she lets her cat eat the corpses. And then she uses the entrails for divination and seeing the future. There's actually a type of Malkavian called an Ananke that would do that. And they're compelled, they look at like the intestines and do all that old prophecy around that. And then they take trophies from their victims. And they get really upset if they can't get a trophy, which I thought would be an interesting thing. So that's what I was thinking. She looks sweet and kind of eccentric, and she can be really nice, but she's got this like bizarre.
Just a little bit of disembowelment, you know.
Yeah, it's how she does
there's
divination.
A purpose. Yeah, divination. Yeah. There's a purpose for it. I'll allow it.
Yeah, well, so that's one idea, and then the other one would be Lasombrin, kind of I hate to say this, an Ivanka Trump type, where she's the like perfect looking socialite of some like asshole father who's very powerful, or sire, and her secret goal is wanting to kill him, and so she's playing dutiful spawn or whatever in public, and in the meantime trying to do everything she can behind the scenes to take over his empire, and so I don't know much about the mechanics. I don't know how much is going to be combat based because it seemed like the Malkavians weren't as oriented towards combat, so I don't know how important that would be.
The rolls are more about actions that you take. So, I mean, it could roll times that you roll the dice could as equally be to persuade somebody or to influence somebody or to talk to somebody as it would be to hop in a car and try to drive a getaway car. Right.
Okay.
Actual
Remember,
combat,
I got
not as
frustrated in
often.
D&D because I was a cleric, and then I did nothing but heal people all damn day. And I was like, I want to do something else.
Spiritual weapon.
Yeah.
You will
So
definitely be rolling for other things.
Yeah, so I'm torn between those two. I don't know what would be best for the group dynamic. I don't know if we should talk through our other people have ideas and we can kind of see what fits.
Well,
Yeah, that'll work.
Katee had a real clear one. You mentioned the Hakata, but you talked about it more in the Discord than you have on here.
Oh, yeah, I figure, well, like the Toreador one I had was like an influencer who has like a wellness influencer type on like social media who has a little bit of her own cult and maybe drinks only from her cult, and maybe some light murder. The Hakata is like, and this works especially if they're like recently embraced, is like a Hannibal fangirl. Like specifically the Mads Mikkelsen one, and that like because the Hakata can like sense blood stuff and like tell you about it, like sense illness and whatnot. I have to look up this details, but so she sniffs them even though she doesn't have to sniff them because she's like Hannibal sniffs them and tells. It's just a whole thing. And like maybe she's a little bit into like a chef type stuff even though she doesn't eat, and she's really bad at it because Hannibal. So I think it'd be absurd, but like also she digs into the murder because Hannibal.
There are aspects of Vampire the Masquerade that we'll have to research, but there are ways that vampires can appear to intake and partake of food and fake it for a period of time, but they are going to eventually have to empty that out. Like they can't actually use it as sustenance, and it also won't go through anywhere, right? So it's got to come back out again. So it's a little bit of a Attack on Titan kind of situation.
I was thinking more Tokyo Ghoul.
Tokyo Ghoul
does exactly this thing. The only thing they can
the same
consume
thing.
other than human flesh is coffee.
And Tokyo Ghoul does have that character who is like very foodie about consuming.
Yep.
Well, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like she does some like not literal cannibalism, but the way that Hannibal like cooks and feeds to other people, that's like her gig. Even though, like I said, she's bad at it.
There is a character just like that in Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, see,
yeah,
there.
I'm here for that.
I apparently need to watch this anime.
Oh my gosh.
They're called ghouls. They're almost literally just vampires.
Yeah, I watched the first couple episodes, but like I don't think I got far enough into it to like get caught properly.
This character comes in the first season, so.
Okay.
But anyways, I'm loving all of the idea here. Cooper or Gabriel?
Yeah. Okay. So my character, I haven't thought so much about abilities as much as the other two have so far. My idea so far was to play somebody who's very recently, what would be the technical term, converted, very recently transformed, and is still trying to figure it out and come to grips with the fact that they're going to outlive everyone that they knew previously. So I've been thinking about handling it from like that emotional core, and them just desperately trying to figure out ways to, like, they've got to find that there's some sort of food that they can still eat, and just desperately holding on to the threads of their old life while slowly just accepting and resigning to the fact that that's not the case anymore. While at the same time, I wanted them to be on the younger side, and not like young, but like they're going. The reason I brought up the what was that clan, the second one that I'd said,
Bruja, not Bruja.
Bruja, is because one of them said punks, and I was like, I thought it would be really fun if their primary form of expressing themselves and expressing like their frustration is just through basically like, oh my goodness, I have a character who does this. Why can't I think of the graffiti? They bomb like walls with paints and things like that, and I thought that would be fun. I don't know anything about powers and stuff like that. I would still have to research all of these things, but that's kind of where I was leaning, was somebody who's still coming to terms with their current existence.
I'm just saying, I'll cook for you. Like, you might not like it, but if you're still looking for food.
That could be.
Yeah,
And he'll try to eat it.
That could be
just to
something
like,
we explore.
Yeah.
This way I have an out for whenever I do something wrong that doesn't actually make sense. I can make it canonical and create fun situations with it at the same time. It's like I wasn't supposed to do that. I didn't know that, and my character didn't know, but here we go.
And feeding style is a thing that you each will need to
Yeah.
think about, right? Because there are various ways of feeding styles, and
That's a predator type?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yes.
And that also will help determine how you manage your hunger, right?
I will figure that out in real time.
And that's fine. Like, that sounds fun. So that especially, I think, plays in. I would prefer that you're under 10 years then.
Yeah, I think this character would probably be like 6 months, maybe.
Okay. All right, Gabriel.
Yeah, I mean, it's the character that I've thought the most is an unwilling, first the Bruja. I mean, going with the Bruja in the sense that I get the feel that they're like super violent and they cannot control anything they do. Not anything, but mostly. And this being a person that hates all that in his previous life would be like very pacific, very easygoing, very like anti-violence, but after he was, I think the term was
Pacifist.
embraced.
After it was
No,
embraced.
before-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the turning into a vampire is embraced.
Yeah, embraced.
And
Okay.
with this being of this clan, being embraced by someone of this clan, he would have to do all the violence like all the time and be like the point man of the group, in the sense that it's way easier to get him into a frenzy, way easier to get him into violence. So
Point and shoot.
yes.
So we're thinking of a very 0 to 60 miles per hour
Yeah.
berserker kind of character.
Yeah, but he that doesn't want to do it. Like, he's always conflicted while he's doing it, but not able to stop himself.
I love that we're kind of split between like murder and like, no, we didn't want any of this.
Yeah, like just violently feeding, like, I don't want this, I don't like this, but just doing it.
I think perhaps, Gabriel, I mean, Bruja is an option, absolutely, but maybe look into one or two of the other clans as well, because Gangrel could be really interesting because of the fact that they take on animalistic shapes, and they also go into a frenzy, which may be a fit. So maybe read into that a little bit, because I like the overall character concept. I just think that clan, you may have another option for clan besides Bruja.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's other people. Like, there's like 3 of us going for Bruja.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, it depends, right? Because I think leaning here, Katie's leaning a little harder towards the Hakata.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jenny was considering Bruja.
Yeah, Jenny's considering Bruja or Toreador. I would love that one of you be a Toreador. Like, I don't want this outcome to be that nobody is.
Like, everyone's like, I want to be Toreador. Wait, everyone else is? No.
No. That's like
I have
nobody...
to be different.
Like, that's like going to a restaurant that has this amazing, amazing entree, and nobody wants to order all the same thing, so everybody, realizing that everybody wants that one amazing entree, orders something else, and then nobody gets the amazing entree.
I was if I did Toreador, it would be like a Dorian Gray but gender swapped sort of thing, but maybe not, because then that would be a little further back. But opulent parties, and
You could still have the narcissism there.
I mean, there's the
I thought
Elysiums, right?
yeah, I also thought about having them own a sex shop or something like that.
Well, you could also, like, I cannot tell you how many times I have dated. It's gonna end up in one of my books, but I have dreamed of like a very, very high class host club, host and hostesses, right? Non-binary, but just being very high class, and I don't know that we would find that in the U.S. because every time I talk about it with anybody who's ever been to an actual host club or actually been to a variety of places for companionship in the U.S., they're all like, your concept of a host club, people are going to take it someplace else. I was like, okay, and then the only time I ever saw it was on a CSI episode. I'm like, all right, fine, you're right. But yeah, like the concept of someone owning a club like that, you know, high level courtesans, respected ones. Like, that's possible in Vampire the Masquerade, and I'm here for it too.
Can I ask what, and maybe this is getting too much into the weeds of what we're actually going to learn once the game starts unraveling, but will we have some sort of base of operations, or do we have our own independent homes that we will be staying in? How does this work?
So you will have the option. I'm going to introduce you to a new city. You all wake up in a new city, and you will have the option, and I'm sure I'm going to regret giving you the option, but you will be given a place that you could use as a home base of operations, or you could decide to scatter, but you are all bound to at least do certain things together for survival, and also, I think, for to fulfill a commitment. So that being the case, you'll be able to explore a new city. You will be provided with a safe space if you decide to consider it a safe space, or you could decide that I don't trust them and this isn't safe, so I'm going to go find a place of my own, but then you take the risk of not being able to find a safe space, particularly in time for sunrise.
Right.
If you scatter, I'll make something happen.
I've played games where the party split up into 5 different directions, and it is extremely not fun. So I'll try not to do that too.
But if it makes sense that your characters would do that, like, stay true to your characters. We'll make it work. That's what stories do. Cool. If we have to go, George R.R. Martin, and each chapter is a different person's point of view, we'll figure something out. But in any case, all right. So we have basic ideas, right? So everybody lean into your favorite, knowing that you can backtrack and choose something else. All right, but let me take you through the exercise that I want you to take you through. Pick your favorite so far. And what I want you to do is take a look, find the attributes section of your character sheet. All right, the attributes section of your character sheet is going to list a couple of things. And what I want you to do when you're looking at your attributes is know that you get 1 attribute at level 1.
4.
Yes, thank you. 1 attribute at level 4. You get, and that's your subject matter expertise. That's the thing that you're good at. Really, really, like, more so. 2 is the average person. 4 is, like, very few people have that level of subject matter expertise. 5 is freaking the pinnacle of human achievement. Right?
And 6 is supernatural.
There is no 6. Is there a 6?
No, you're right.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're staying with 5. So you get 1 attribute at level 4. Pick that attribute. That's the one you get at level 4. You get 3 attributes at level 3. Okay.
Okay, so 1 at 1, 1 at 2, and 1 at 3, and 1 at 4?
Erase the 1 at 1. I messed up. So just 1 at 4 and 3 at 3. I'll give you a second for that.
Sorry, I'm looking up the difference between intelligence and wits.
You never know which one's going to come up more. It depends on your character and what I decide I want you to use.
Right.
To do that thing. You figure intelligence is going to be... I will most likely rule it as more related to research or academia. And wits is more like, how do you think on your feet?
Okay.
And that's based on interpretation. I'm not reading anything for that. I'm just going to assume that that's the way I'm going to lean in the moment. All right. So we have 1 at 4 and 3 at 3. You get 4 attributes at level 2. That's
What
average.
is composure
Wait,
gonna
4
be?
attributes at level 2?
Composure is going to be allows you to remain calm, to command your emotions, and to put others at ease despite anxiety. It also represents your ability to stay cool and everything from firefights to intimate encounters.
Somebody screaming at your face, you can stay calm. Theoretically.
Yeah, I'm not going that way.
All right. Gabriel's like, no. No. All right. 1 at 4, 3 at 3, 4 at 2. And there is 1 at 1. So there should be 1 left. And that's the one that you're... I mean, you know it in theory. You've never tried to do it, like lockpicking or something, right? Like, you know it in theory. You've never tried to do it. You're not particularly good at it. But, I mean, you have a chance. Like this is I started the badge on it in Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts. I'm not even gonna say whether you earned the badge in it.
Well, and it's not letting me fill in a couple of these anymore. Am I limited to how many I can put in each of the physical, social, and mental attributes? No. Okay, some of them just don't fill in. That's all. Okay, that's weird. Okay, that's
You might have to take a note. We might have to troubleshoot your character sheet.
Okay, just one more time. I'm going to write it down here and then I'll figure it out. 1 at 4, 3 at 3,
correct.
4 at 2, and 1 at 1.
Correct. Okay. The next thing you're going to fill in is your generation. And I'm taking a shot in the dark here, and I'm going to put you all at generation 13. This is me pulling something out of a tutorial video I saw somewhere else. I reserve the right to change your generation if I get super frustrated or learn something down the line. But for right now, we're going to start you at generation 13. Seems like a good spot. Okay? All right. Now we're going to move on to your stats. So find the stats section on your character sheet. So
Is that skills?
No, this is stats. This is different. So you're looking for health, willpower, and humanity.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
Okay, health, willpower, and humanity. Got it.
So health is stamina plus 3. So whatever you chose for stamina, you're going to add 3 to it and make health.
I'm very unhealthy.
It's like, do. Willpower is composure plus resolve.
Okay.
And your humanity is simple. It's an 8. Okay? All right. Now moving on to skills and specialties. This is the thing that you'll probably noodle on the most. All right? One of the things that I want you to think about first is, are you going to be the kind of person who's a specialist? Or are you going to be the kind of person who's a duck? Now, this involves my duck story. Did I have... All right, so there's an audience potentially. My duck story comes from my grandfather. My grandfather sat me on his knee when I was a very wee little child and told me that a duck can swim and fly and walk on land. It can't run as fast as an ostrich. It can't swim as fast as a penguin. It can't fly as well as an eagle. But you know what? An eagle can't swim well. There's video of eagles swimming. It's not good. And they also can't run, right? An ostrich can't swim, also can't fly. You get the picture, right? But a duck can do all 3. So if you're a duck, you don't do it as well as all the others, and you're also probably a very, very terrible sexual partner, but you can do all the things. Or you're a specialist, like the eagle or the ostrich or the penguin. Okay? It matters for skills and specialties. So, if you decide that you're going to be a duck, a jack of all trades, reasonably can do all the things, just not the best at any of them, you get 3 skills at level 3. You get 5 skills at level 2. And if I did my math right, you get 2 skills at level 1. So if you're a jack of all trades, a duck, if you're a duck, 3 skills at level 3, 5 skills at level 2, 2 skills at level 1. Okay? If you're a specialist, if you're one of my eagles or my ostrich or my penguin, you get 1 skill at level 4. You get 3 skills at level 3. You get 3 skills at level 2. And you get 3 skills at level 1. Okay.
Oh, never mind. Okay, I see how math works. Got it.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Does the never mind. No questions.
Okay.
That's for the next part.
I know that I have to research a little bit more on who gets a specialty in one of their skills, because there's an extra dice roll involved in that, and I just want to read a little bit more on the mechanics. So that's homework for me before you finish up your thing. So now that you have decided these things, does that help you at all land a little harder or more with more surety on what clan you're going to choose?
Oh, that's a good point. Okay.
I think for me it does, because I was liking the Bruja part of being a rebel, like being like not taking shit from anyone and just going for their convictions. But now I'm leaning more towards the beastie kind of clan.
I am all here for that. It's also kind of fun because when you're if I remember about Gangrel, you can either take on animal features or disfigurements as your beast gets out of control, or you could just have a random thing, like you smell like a wet lion, right? Like, and it can be really inconvenient, but like that's some of the stuff that has to do with it. So that may be something. I'm here for it if you decide to explore that more and read up on it more.
What's performance as a skill?
Good question. Let's look it up together.
I know within D&D, its primary function is basically whenever you're trying to show off or do some sort of theatrical, performance. But it might not be the same in this. So.
I am looking for it. We're going to be looking that up. Hold on. Because, again, I have D&D in my head and some other things, but is it under physical skills, social skills, or mental skills? Do you know?
It's under
social.
It's under
I
social
don't
skills.
think this one breaks it up.
It does in the book.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's under social skills.
Okay. All right. So social skills. We got etiquette, insight, blah 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 blah. Performance. Range of arts from dance to poetry and comedy to storytelling. You may be an inspired performer in your own right, or simply enthusiastic student of the arts. So when it comes to performance, you could be, anything that would step onto a stage. I will also take leverage characters because, oh gosh, what character is it where they're always saying it's not her stage? Like, this is not her stage. And she's an amazing grifter.
Is it Parker?
No, it's not Parker.
Oh.
Although Parker starts to learn from her. Oh, it's a leverage character. Anyway, I will take a grifter, like a con artist, when it comes to having high performance, because that is a type of acting. But I would also take her handicap, that when she actually gets on stage, she's bad at it. She's terrible at actually being on stage. It's horrifying, and they're always like,
okay.
And then there's this inception point where she's actually doing a con, acting in front of a camera, and so she's actually good because she's conning. So does that answer your question about performance? Like
Yep.
Reading poetry would be fine. Dance. I would take also audio performance, narration, and acting is still an element of performance.
What about insight? Is that like your gut?
Where's that? Not necessarily your gut. When it's insight as a social skill, how well do you read a person? Can you tell that they're lying? Can you tell that they're upset? Can you tell that they're closing in and bracing themselves? There are some people who can read a room really well. There are some people who say that people who have suffered trauma as a child get really good at reading the atmosphere of a room. That's insight. And they're taking cues off of body language and tone of voice and even scent in the room that they might not be used to, or small gestures that people are making, or small eye movements. Body language, tone. They're just really good at reading it and understanding the underlying commentary. I'm always telling writers, don't just give me dialogue, give me cues so that we can gain insight into what they're not saying.
Okay.
That's what makes a discussion and dialogue really, really interesting, especially in fantasy, or in the longer prose, shall we say. Any other questions about skills? Since I've got the book open.
I think I'm gonna have to go through it and like
myself. So
Okay. All right. So skills, definitely something that leans a little harder into clan. Predator type is something that we should also talk about. And Cooper, I think that this comes a lot close to, one of your characters. If you decide to do the guy who's like 6 months-ish, or if it's a guy. I mean, I'm not opposed to you going non-binary or playing a girl. Just do the research.
Right. No, you're fine. I play a woman in one of my other parties. I do plan on being a male for this campaign.
Okay.
I don't know what all of these are, though.
Hang on. I gotta get back to the back. The scrolling is a thing. I may end up getting the book just because, like the physical book, just because of that. Hunger dice mechanic, bestial failures, compulsions, harm, slacking hunger is a thing.
This might have to be part of my homework.
Yeah, so the predator type is something that I would like you to think about, because there's a lot of different types of predators. There are ambush predators. There are predators that have a relationship with the people they feed off of. And if you do decide on that, I want a little blurb on who it is, how you met them, how you have this relationship with them. Because those become aspects and NPCs, right? Like, so that's the other thing I want you to start thinking about is who's connected to you. What connections you have. Because if you were a person who was feeding off of, through whatever understanding, willing or volunteers, you suddenly moved into the city. What happened to them? Did they come with you? Were arrangements made? Are you worried about them? Will you have to find replacements if they didn't get moved? I need to know so that we can decide that together. So that's a thing.
Okay, I have a plan. I'm very excited.
You have a plan?
So do I.
Mm-hmm.
I'm liking this, and we are coming up to close to the end of our time for session 0. I think that this is a really good place to stop, but I have a random question for each and every one of you. I want you to think about when you were alive, what was your go-to comfort food? You don't have to tell me now, but I'm going to need to know. What was your go-to comfort food? The thing that you absolutely would go to. I love so many different kinds of food. I'm not really sure what that is for me. Possibly ramen, right? That you absolutely go to when you just needed that sense that everything was gonna be okay. That's not necessarily your favorite food. It's not necessarily the food that you indulge in when you celebrate. It's not necessarily the food that you binge when you're having a terrible, terrible, terrible feeling and you're eating your feelings. It is the food that you go to reassure yourself that everything's okay. That's what I want to know. So that's.
I don't know if I have one of those. That sounds really nice.
Oh, I'm gonna do twisted things with it. I'm sorry.
Sweet. So, do you want us to look into our disciplines too?
Yes.
As homework? Okay, cool.
What disciplines? What?
Disciplines.
So each clan has 3 disciplines, but you can only spend so many points, right?
Yes, and that's a thing because it depends on your clan. So I think what's going to happen based on where we are, we're going to need to come back for another session 0 before we get into gameplay to firm up our characters, and also determine if anybody has any connections, and to talk about our coterie a little bit, right?
Okay.
So I guess we'll call it a session 0.5. We'll schedule. And so the question is, do you want me to send out another doodle to find out when people have time, or do we want to land on a day of the week that we're going to start the cadence of every other week?
Can we decide that in the Discord? Because then we can loop Jenny into that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Okay, so we will be scheduling a 0.5.
Oh, that's interesting.
I just
Alright.
realized that the gangrel has animalism, like affinity towards animals and stuff. So yes, I'm going with that, 100%.
Sweet.
Now that can go in a whole lot of ways. Like, that
Yes.
could go Fruits Basket
Oh, yeah.
style, where like just rats follow you everywhere, and you're called Yuki Soma the prince, or like cats follow you everywhere if you're Kyo. Like, I don't know. Viewers may have to
I
tell
like
me
it.
from a Fruits Basket perspective if they're Team Kyo or Team Yuki. I don't think Fruits Basket is one of the anime that you've watched, Cooper, is it?
No, but I am very familiar with it through osmosis.
There's two different remakes. There's the original and the remake, so it depends.
I know the author hated the original, so she's very happy there's a second one.
Second one is emotional.
Yeah, I've heard.
I'm still in the middle of that rewatch, so anyway.
Sweet.
But just for the record, anybody who ever watches this for posterity, I am Team Kyo. Like, that's just where we go. Yuki has his moments, but I am Team Kyo. Anyway, last question. How do you feel at the end of session 0? You still feel like this is going to be a good group to play with? You feeling good?
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think
Do
we
you
have
feel
some some good stuff to bounce off of. Like
Oh,
once we
yeah.
get settled in.
I think so too.
My character is going to be innocent chaos. It's going to be great.
Innocent.
I'm
Pokey.
basically, I think, going to be a manic pixie dream girl that kills.
Listen, I just have some ideas, so we're gonna run with it, and I'm gonna talk to Piper about it later.
Oh, goodness. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. Okay.
Awesome.
So, I'm going to stop the recording here. Thank you all for watching. And everybody stick around for like 30 seconds after.
Okay.
Recording stopped.
And
Thank you.